It's time to get it, and you know how we get it. Americano, the podcast about all things business and personal growth with your host, Eric Vonheim. Today, I would like to welcome Ilse Hayes to the show. Ilse, how are you doing?
I am doing fabulous.
Fabulous is good.
Yes.
And where are we at today, Ilse?
Personally, professionally, what are we talking about?
We could talk about both, but what about physical location?
Oh, Laguna Niguel, the OC, Orange County.
The OC. Now, do you think that the OC has a good reputation or a bad reputation following the show? Because years ago, there was a show called the OC.
That's right. I think it depends who you ask. You know, I mean, it's such a beautiful, I don't live in this area.
Okay.
I currently work here, and it's absolutely gorgeous. It's beautiful. But I do think that sometimes, areas like this might have a reputation.
Yeah.
But really, people here, just because you live in a huge house, doesn't mean you're not humble and loving. Do you know what I mean?
That is true.
It's like, so that's my opinion.
Yeah. And it was just interesting because after that particular show, I know it brought a lot of awareness to the OC, Orange County. Then it sort of set a tone for what the environment was like. So I know that some people coming into the area have a perception.
Sure.
So it's always interesting.
Yeah.
So Ilse, tell our audience a little bit about yourself and maybe sort of where you grew up and sort of your passion for business, for education. And tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, so I was born in Los Angeles, and when I was in middle school, my parents and my three brothers, we moved to San Diego, and I majored in communication.
Okay.
As yourself.
Yeah.
Love talking to people, getting to know them, and I actually decided to follow a career in broadcast journalism initially. So I did that for 15 years. I was a television news reporter. And you didn't know that?
Wow. Well, I know that you were in communication. I didn't realize you were on TV. So we were with a celebrity today.
Oh, yeah. Well, I wouldn't say that, but that's so funny because I totally thought you knew. Okay. So, yeah, I worked for Fox, NBC, ABC out in Michigan.
Okay.
And so I did that for 15 years. And but I love the fact that you're doing this because I think professionally what I really, obviously I want to talk about fabulous place I work, but as you know, I'm in transition.
Yeah.
And so when I decided to leave the news business in Michigan, it was because I really wanted to come back to California and be near family. This is where I'm originally from. Okay. So I think this taps into this, sometimes in life you're really scared to make a change professionally. I was petrified. Mm-hmm. And
this was the change leaving Michigan and coming back to California.
Yes.
That particular change. Because I thought to myself, and so I did apply for television news reporting jobs. I got interviewed by Fox and NBC in San Diego and KUSI. My resume videotapes were good enough for an interview, but obviously I was not hired. Okay. So that was a huge, disappointment because you can easily take the route of, oh my gosh, I'm such a loser. It's like, I didn't look, here I am, I'm in my 40s and what am I going to do? So I really had to, kind of evaluate, well, what is it you really want? Right.
And for me, it was more important to be near family than it was to have a certain type of career. Yeah. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. And I would imagine, is it fair to say that for so many years you're away from your family because of where you were living?
Yes, absolutely. And so, so once I knew, okay, that's really what you want. That's what your heart is saying. Right. So I kept applying for jobs, and it can be very discouraging. Here I have a college degree. I'm a former television news reporter, and I'm like, why am I not being hired? Yeah. So, but I'm a big believer. My faith is very, important to me, and I'm a big believer that everything happens for a reason. So there I am in Michigan, and Emma and Claudia see my resume on Indeed. Okay. And so that's how they found me. My background was communication. They needed someone to come here to the Huntington Learning Center in Laguna Niguel and kind of manage the office and be the face of the business out in the community.
So what was the resume? I mean, on Indeed, which is a job platform, correct, to find jobs and for employees and employers. Were you actively looking for the type of work that you had back in Michigan, or did you change your resume a little bit?
No, I changed my resume because I knew, obviously I had a resume that was strictly broadcast journalism,
And I thought, I naively thought that would be so impressive to people that they would just hire me. But I learned a lesson that you really do have to tailor your resume to what the job you're trying to land. So I geared it toward, I paid someone to help me. Yeah. So I geared the resume more toward communication / marketing.
Yeah.
Because again, you have to keep in mind, I had never done that in my career. Even though I studied communication, it's like, I had never done marketing.
Right.
My experience was journalism, talking to people, interviewing them, getting them to tell their story. Kind of like what you do, Eric.
Yes. Confession time, everybody. Confession time.
So yes, I did change and tweak my resume.
Okay. And what's interesting about that is this story that you share about the resume and adjusting it to your audience. I think there's a tendency to sometimes for us to, and I've done this early on in my career where I had my resume and I put it out there thinking people are going to be so excited they should be able to read this and interpret what I can do for them.
Sure.
And I think what we all quickly realize is that when we identify who our audience is and then we put the wording and the content to sort of meet their needs, we tend to have some great results.
Absolutely. And you just got to, I learned a valuable lesson, and that is, it sounds like such a cliche, but don't give up.
Don't give up.
Just keep, if you're searching if you're in a job that you're not currently happy in, but do an honest evaluation as to why you're not happy. It might just be you personally. You're not happy. You're just not a happy person.
Exactly.
It has nothing to do with the job.
Not enough vitamin D.
Right.
No sunshine.
Right.
Some people live in places where not a lot of sunshine.
Yeah, I don't belong in places like that. So, but yes, if you know that or maybe your heart is tugging you to make a change or, advance, whatever it is, it's like, you got to take those baby steps and just keep moving.
Just pushing through.
I mean, I must have sent out, I'm not over exaggerating, I must have applied. It's a kind of embarrassing, but I must have applied to about 100 jobs.
100 jobs.
100
through the
jobs,
application
Eric.
process.
Yes.
Yeah.
It indeed makes it easy. You just click a button,
But that was 100 clicks.
Apply. Yeah.
You could have got carpal tunnel from that, right? Or some form of...
Well, I would do it while I was watching TV.
Okay.
But,
you key on something that's very important nowadays, which is perseverance, right? And I think there is a tendency for us to, as human beings, to get in our heads sometimes because, to your previous point about you were applying for those jobs and wondering why are you not being selected? Why are they not, bringing you in? And maybe, some of that discouragement sets in. And it's very difficult, I find, for some individuals to push through those moments because you almost have to be your own champion.
Yes.
In those moments, you have to remind yourself how much time and effort and how passionate you are, how much you care, and allow that to really, sort of feel that energy so you can continue to push through and not let those little speed bumps be moments in time that stop you in your tracks.
Absolutely. But what's interesting about what you're sharing is that I think most people know that, Eric. Mm-hmm. I think they know that. Mm-hmm. The challenge is, how do you motivate yourself to be your own champion? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because if you talk to, if you talk to anyone, I think they would know, well, I know I got to believe in myself before anyone else believes in me.
Yes.
They understand that. But the challenge that I had was, that's why I needed to leave. I needed to get closer to a place where I could enjoy my family, and whatever makes you happy,
right,
seek that. So, but it was very tough. Like, I'm not going to pretend like, oh yeah, I was motivated every day. I was, like you said, my champion every day. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just going through the motions, feeling like, is this ever going to happen? But I just kept going through the motions.
Right.
And then my life in 1 year exactly, has completely done a 180.
Just a totally different.
Totally different. Like, if my own brothers tell me, sister, I don't even recognize you, because I'm just, I'm happier. I'm more positive. I understand the source of my joy, where it comes from. My faith is important. And so, and I'm
serving more. I never did that. So anyways, I didn't mean to get off topic.
No. So, I mean, these are all important factors because, each and every one of us has to find tools.
Yes.
To keep us moving in the right direction.
That's exactly what I wanted to. Sometimes I think I'm ADD because I'm like all over the place.
ADD.
I know. So, but that's what I was going to say. Like most people who want to make that change may say, okay, but how do I get motivated? I don't I don't know what to do. For me, what helped was I needed to change my thought process. I needed to change the story. Mm-hmm. You hear this often, I was telling myself.
Oh my gosh.
And once I did that, it was like magic.
Absolutely.
It was just like, okay, here you go. Okay, here's your next, I call it blessing, but it's more really like the outside world would be like, how'd you do that? How did you land this job? And as you know, I'm in transition into an even more amazing opportunity.
Right.
I love what I've done here. I love Emma and Claudia, who are my, direct bosses, co-owners. Yeah. They have been angels in my life. But it was the move here allowed me to continue to grow, continue to build myself.
Absolutely.
And then now go to the next level. So I'm excited about that.
I love it. Yeah. I love it. And, I'm listening to you point out a key factor that I feel deeply about, which is the things that we tell ourselves. Mm-hmm. We have a tendency of telling ourselves these crazy stories.
Yes.
Or reliving our failures, right?
Yes.
And there's a lot of people out there that are unfortunately stuck in the mud because they keep reminding themselves constantly of all the reasons why they can't do something versus thinking about things like, hey, I woke up today.
Yes.
And today's a brand new day. And yesterday's done.
Yes.
And I think the people that I've observed, because I think in many ways throughout my years, I've just been more of an observationist, paying attention to what works, what doesn't work. Mm. The people that I think have some great success, and when I say success, I'm not talking about just financial success. I'm talking about people that may not have a lot, but they're truly happy.
Yes.
And what I observe from these people, comparatively speaking, from those that are struggling versus some success, is that the ones that have this success, they're just telling themselves different stories. Mm-hmm. They're feeding themselves different things in their mind. They're looking at life differently. They're surrounding themselves with people that are positive and contributing, uplifting.
Yes. Eric, yes. I mean, I honestly feel like I've tapped into this like magic.
I like it.
You know, like everyone, if you can change like what you're saying, your thoughts, like, and the story people tell themselves, I'm too old.
Oh, yes.
I don't have a college degree. Or like, let's say you just doubt yourself. Yeah. I don't think I can do it. Like your confidence is low. You don't feel that you can actually get that management position if that's what you want. Seriously, it's fear. It's the story you're telling yourself. And so the trick is, okay, how do I change my thought process? And that's the thing. Like we could do a whole show on that. But we won't go into that. But that's, if you can change your thoughts, you will change your reality. Because
Absolutely.
You will, because your behavior will change, and that will get you closer to the reality that you want.
I love it. I'm 100% with you. We're going to just ask our people to schedule another interview. So let's bring it forward a little bit. So, you're in Michigan.
Yes.
You have this strong desire to get back to California. Mm-hmm. You want to be closer to your family. And that's amazing. I love that. And so you make this journey back to California. You encounter some speed bumps. You find your way to Huntington Learning Center, where you find Emma and Claudia, which for our listeners out there, these two are amazing individuals. So for anybody in the Laguna Niguel, California area that has young children, kids,
K through 12.
K through 12 people, get it together here. K through 12. You definitely want to check out Huntington Learning Center and speak with Emma or Claudia. Amazing individuals. So you arrive here, you start contributing to the business, and help us understand how you come from this journalism background, and now you're in education. Mm-hmm. And you're probably identifying there's some things that just overlap and sort of fit really well, because to me, when I first met you, it seemed like you had been in academia education for a long, long time. You just have that vibe and energy because I see that you truly care about people. You're very personable, you know, the way you speak with families, or I see you interact. I'm like, wow, that would be the person I want as my teacher.
Yeah.
You know, like, yes.
Yeah. Well, here's the, you know, what Huntington does, you know, there's a lot of people may not know this, but there's 300 centers across the country, actually, I think they're at 340 now. This particular franchise that opened in Laguna Niguel, you know, they're offering individualized tutoring to kids K through 12. I am not a teacher. I basically, you know, my title is managing director, but what I do know is I'm a mom. I have 3 kids,
okay.
You know, and so they are, you know, 11, 13, and 20 years old. And so one of the things that I know as a mom, when you're looking for a service, I knew that, you want the service to be legit and to be able to perform, but you want people to treat the kids like they're yours.
Absolutely.
You know, and I knew that's what...
You want them to care.
You want them to care. You want them to... And I even tell parents when I'm doing conferences with them, you know, when they're considering the service, I tell them, we're going to be tough on your kids, but we're going to love them as if they're ours. And you should see the look on their faces. Like when parents hear that, they're just
use that language.
I use that language. Yes. I don't care if it's like,
you know,
inappropriate or not corporate, you know, appropriate, but I say that we're going to love your kids as if they were our own. And as soon as I say that, I can tell parents are like, oh my gosh, like that would be awesome.
It's powerful.
Yes. And so
because I mean, what businesses are speaking like that? What businesses are really letting people know that we truly care? You know, there's a lot of competition out there, right? But how can we separate ourselves? We can care more.
We can care
right?
more.
And when you use that language, I can imagine how those parents feel, because that's their heart, their external heart walking around.
Yes, it is. And so absolutely, like this is a franchise. So the system is in place. Okay. But I always tell people the system is like the cake, but the people running it, it's like the frosting.
Oh, I like that.
Thank you.
We're gonna use that, the cake and the frosting analogy.
The cake and the frosting. It's like if you have a business that's a franchise, right? You know you have to follow the system rules, but I look at the people running the programs and the teachers and the people that are here in the center. That's the frosting. Yeah. That's what makes it so. Overlapping, you asked about what skills I kind of used in journalism. Yeah. I mean, that's easy. That's, you know, that was a people business. You know, you had to build rapport, gain people's trust so that they could feel comfortable enough to share what they had just experienced, you know, because sometimes it was a deadly fire, fatal accident, you know, a shooting. Like these are very traumatic events. And if you're a stranger trying to get them to get talk that information to you, so you have to have that ability, right? So that does come very natural to me because I love people. I've always been like that since I was a little girl. Yeah. And so, but that's what I do here. I just kind of, you know, I just treat the kids as if they were mine. And then I'm very honest with the parents as far as what their kids need academically, because most parents that come here, their children are struggling. So that's what we do. Yeah, I love it. And you know, you're keying on a point that is just, I think, super critical regardless of the industry that you're in or whether we're speaking professionally or on a personal level, which is for relationships. Yes. They're everything. They're everything, Eric. And I've realized, I know what I wanted to say. Please. You brought up a good point about joy, right? Like here's something that I saw this in a documentary recently, and it was so powerful. It said that between, you know, if you earn $1,000 a month and $1,000 a month or $50,000 a year, your joy will jump dramatically, like 50,000, because you need your needs met, right? That's important. Yeah. So, and I'm kind of covering, follow. Yeah, I'm with you here. Let's go. So I was watching this documentary and it said, so in other words, if you're not making enough to fulfill your needs, you will not be happy, obviously, because you need to fulfill your needs. That makes sense. But as soon as you make enough to fulfill your needs, right? Which let's say it might be 50,000. They use that as just a generalization. Yeah. Then if you think once you meet 50,000, oh gee, I'm not happy.
oh, if I could only make 100, or if you're making 100 and you think, oh, if I could just make 200,000, then I'll be really happy. It basically, research showed that the amount of joy between when your needs are met and whatever the amount is, right? That it's very little. The measurement,
it's probably incremental,
right? But they were trying to say that it doesn't matter. So if you have to have your needs met, but then once you have your needs met, if you think more money is going to make you happy, yes, I get it. You know, yes, of course you want to go on vacation and cruises, and that money allows you to have these wonderful experiences.
Right.
But the documentary reminded me, don't bet on more money making you happy.
So more money, more problems, right?
Yeah.
We heard this before in a hip hop track.
So how do you know that?
I know a lot of these things, and yes.
So that's something that I really it validated, like that is so true. Because yes, you want to be aggressive and grow professionally, financially, but just remember, like, you better find your joy somewhere else.
100% agree with you.
It doesn't come directly from that dollar bill.
It doesn't. It does not, people. No. You know, one of the things, you're just triggering a thought. So in my classes that I teach at St. Anna College, I always ask my students when we talk about financial well-being and teaching them how to invest in mutual funds and IRAs, I just add this into entrepreneurship.
That's awesome.
I just want them to, I had a good teacher when I was 18 that taught me about mutual funds. And I'll tell you, they don't teach this stuff in high school, and they barely cover it in college. And if you have some good people that are sort of putting that out there, I think it's important at a young age, because I told them time is on your side. The most precious resource asset you will ever have is time, right? From a financial investment perspective and quality of life, everything. But when you're young, you don't understand that. You think time is infinite until you get a little older and you're like, the clock is running out, right? We got to get to work. But what I said to them, I said, with a show of hands, for those that had jobs or have been working, I said, with a show of hands, raise your hand if you've ever received a raise. In the class, you get a handful of people. Yeah, I received a raise. And I said, okay, for the people that raised their hand, how did you feel when you got that raise? Were you excited? Were you happy? And they did, yeah, I was happy. Okay, great. I said, now, how do you feel about that today? Are you as excited as you were? And everybody's like, no, not really. And I said, exactly. And that's because money is such a temporary moment in time where you think it's going to bring you this joy and excitement. And it will for a moment.
For a moment, yes.
For a moment.
Yes.
But what's sustainable, what's substantial is your work, is it purposeful? Are you doing something that you really enjoy? Are you exactly relationships? Do you feel like you're contributing? Are you passionate? Are you surrounded by great people? That's the stuff. That's the sticky stuff. The money will come and go.
Yes.
You can always make money. But that deep happiness, that joy that you speak of, it's I think I agree with you 100%. It's much bigger than the dollar bill.
Yeah. But it's okay to make a lot of money.
It is. It's okay. Okay. It's okay. Hey, for all our listeners out there, make your money, and then do a little bit of giving as well. People give to those in need as well. So, bringing it to today, talk about. You mentioned you're in transition, and I think all of us are like in transition. We're all butterflies. We're all sort of evolving here.
No, I'm literally in transition.
Yeah, transition's good. So, tell us about the path forward for you.
So, so I mentioned how I came to Huntington about exactly 1 year ago.
Okay.
And I live in Murrieta, which is an hour and 15 minutes away.
Wine country.
Wine country, that's right, Temecula. And I was very grateful for this job. It was a blessing. I knew this was allowing me to come to California. So I gave it my all. Yeah. I gave it my all. But what was happening, and I knew that I would have a long commute. I had accepted that. I knew this was a price I had to pay. And this kind of goes to how sometimes in life you just have to take the next step. Don't worry about, because I could have been like, oh my gosh, that's an hour and 15 minutes one way. How am I going to do it? No, I shouldn't take the job. But you got to listen to your intuition, right? Make a good judgment. And I made the call. No, I'm going to do this. So I was driving, and sometimes I'd get home at, 7:30 at night or 9:30 at night. Those were the two times I got home at night.
And you still have a family.
And I have a family, and I'm a single mom. I was married for 14 years to the girls' amazing dad, and I've been divorced for 10 years. So I'm a single mom. Here I am making the drive. I would sometimes drive home, Eric, I'm not over exaggerating, crying because I was so tired.
Just mentally exhausted.
And
Yeah.
it was like I'd get off here at 8:00 and I'd have an hour and 15 minutes to drive home.
Yeah.
So in the meantime, my girls, who are just amazing, the oldest doesn't live with me anymore. She lives in San Diego. She's rocking it down there.
Good.
The two little ones, they were in middle school, so they would be home every day by themselves, every day. And that hurt. I explained to them, we got to make this sacrifice. Mom's got to do this. We're a team. I need you guys to, understand. And they did. Amazing girls, both in honor roll, and they.
Congratulations.
Thank you. But I felt in my heart, I would say to myself, how is it possible that I'm dedicating all this time to kids here at the Huntington at Learning Center, but I can't do that for mine? I'm like, the balance wasn't there.
Yeah.
So then I decided, okay, I started, kind of looking around for other opportunities. And again, I didn't shift my focus. I was always committed to this 100%. But I also knew, okay, nothing's going to come and fall on your lap.
Yeah.
It's like, you gotta try. So I was always, kind of poking my head into things, looking and applying. And ironically, a friend of mine, a wonderful friend of mine, came across this job opportunity, and he sent it to me and said, hey, this looks like something that would interest you.
Yeah.
And I was like, physician liaison, what is that? And so I read the description and I couldn't believe it. Like, it matched.
Was this on Indeed again?
No, this was on ZipRecruiter.
Okay, we've switched gears. We moved on from Indeed, people.
So I read the position, and would you believe that all of the duties listed on their job description matched my current resume, because I had updated my resume. Yeah. And I was like, wow, this is amazing.
The work that you were doing
The
here.
work that I was doing right here at Huntington, which was branding the business, face-to-face marketing, going out into the community, literally going into strangers' offices, introducing myself, trying to book presentations, meeting with teachers, principals. Again, it's face-to-face marketing, basically, ground marketing. That's what this group of doctors wanted. They were opening up their 7th office.
Okay.
And so they were looking for someone that would represent them.
Business development.
So they were opening up a new office, guess where? Temecula.
Oh my God.
15 minutes away from where I live. So I go in, I do the first interview. I applied, and they called me 2 days later. And the chief of marketing said, you know what? I came across your resume. It's like, come on in. I want to interview. So she interviewed me, and her name's Lori. And she said to me, you're like perfect. I already know, but I can't hire you because the doctors have to meet you. But she's like, you're like exactly what we need. And so, to make a long story short, the doctors met me. They loved me, of course.
No, just kidding. Of course. Absolutely.
So, but here's the crazy thing is that I could not have landed that had I not done the work of 1 year here. Do you understand?
I get it.
It's like, there's no way. I didn't know what face-to-face marketing was. I didn't know what it was to brand a business, to go out and keep a database of the contacts that you're making, to follow up with them. I didn't know any of that. And so here I was. So not only is this, amazing opportunity 15 minutes away from where I live, I gave myself a substantial raise, and I have weekends off, because here I didn't have weekends off. I had to work, on Saturdays, which was fine. I knew it was part of the business. And they give me a car. I would have been happy with a cell phone,
Oh,
but the reason why I'm saying this is...
Sign me up.
Okay, but the only reason why I'm mentioning this is because I just want to drive the point across that sometimes when you're doing something that feels really hard, there's a purpose. There's a reason.
Absolutely.
It's like, you just have to remember that, as long as you're doing your work,
Right.
But that's what this experience has taught me, that those nights I was crying, God was saying, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's like, just keep doing it.
It's okay.
Keep
Just stay the course.
Stay the course. It's like, you have to do this.
Yeah.
Otherwise you won't land this.
Yeah.
So this is a huge blessing.
That is wonderful. And it kind of brings things full circle, right? Because at the beginning of the show, you talked about one of the main drivers that brought you to California was be closer to your family.
Yeah.
And now you get to be closer to your children.
Yes.
And I'm sure you're the rest of your family as well.
Yeah. My girls joke with me. They're like, Mom, but that means we can't be on our laptops all day after school.
We got you now. Yeah. Yeah. So now do you take the kids out and celebrate that? Hey, thank you for, sticking through this for the last year. Thank you. You were there for me and we got through this. Do you celebrate that moment with them?
Absolutely. They currently they're in Michigan. They're visiting Dad, but they're coming back this Saturday. And yeah, I've got so many fun things. It's ridiculous. Like I got, I bought passes to like SeaWorld and Aquatica Park. And I'm taking them, like my daughter wants to have her birthday party at the Sugar Factory in downtown San Diego. And it just, I feel blessed because I can do things for them that I never could before. Yeah. And it's not about material things.
No, you're creating memories.
Yes, I'm creating memories and I'm showing them, that if you work hard and you believe in yourself, using your language, you champion for yourself, it's like the world will give it to you. The universe will say, you know what? This lady thinks she's a champion. So, okay, I guess she is.
She is. She's acting like a champion.
It's like, and that's how, and you have to, again, that goes back to the thoughts. But if you're telling yourself, I'm too old, I'm not educated enough, I'm just this, I'm just that, it's like, that's what you're going to get. That's what the universe is going to give you,
I agree with you 100%. So, well, first and foremost, congratulations on that opportunity. I'm very happy for you. And, your children are very lucky to have you as their mom.
Thank you.
Having a strong mom. I had a strong mom, and she's the queen. And I can tell you right now, that's going to leave a legacy for your children to have seen how hard you work and what you do. So I'm just letting you know right now in advance.
Thank you, Eric.
To wrap things up, I have a few questions that are just sort of fun and random. I like to ask all my guests. Okay. You may even know what these questions are, but let's put it out there. So the first one is, what is your favorite book and why?
Oh, I have so many, but I'm going to go with, I love self-help books, I guess is what they would be categorized as. And I'm going to go with the very first one I ever read that I still have by Tony Robbins, How to Awaken the Giant Within. I would say that one. I read that one when I was 21. And I remember learning back then, like, it's just kind of like, the power of the mind. Okay, this is interesting. So I would say that. Awaken the Giant Within.
And Tony is my favorite, by the way, as well. Number 2, if you could only travel to one more country in the world, only one more, where would it be and why?
That's tough. Well, what I would love to do is I'd love to visit my mom's home country of Colombia.
Oh, what part of Colombia?
She was born in Cartagena.
Oh, that's beautiful.
You've been there?
Well, it's on the list. I've been to Medellin.
Oh my gosh. Okay. This is crazy. I'm Colombian and I haven't been there, and you're white and you've been there.
Yeah. Well, my mom's side's Italian, my dad's side's German, Czechoslovakian. Okay.
So I would say Colombia.
Oh, it's beautiful in Colombia. Yeah. I love it. Okay. And that's a beautiful area.
Okay.
That's on the list too. Okay. Last question. What is the last random act of kindness that you did for somebody else, and how did it make you feel?
Oh, that's easy. It was recent. It was, what's today?
I think today is Wednesday.
Okay. So today is Wednesday. So this past Sunday,
but for our listeners out there, this might be
different
than a Wednesday when this actually comes out. But,
so let's just say a few days ago, my nephew, who is 6 years old and he's adorable, he was playing a baseball tournament, and it was in West Covina, and I live in Murrieta. Okay. I was going to go drive again to see him because I'd seen him play the day prior and the team won. So in the tournament, you kind of progress. So I was driving home and I'm like, this little voice in me said, you should invite your aunt. And I was like, but my aunt lives far away. And it was like a little battle. Yeah, but she would really enjoy watching him play. So I was like, okay. So I texted her and she said, oh my gosh, I'd love to. And I was like, okay, Tita, her name's Tita. Yeah. I'll pick you up tomorrow at 9. And now keep in mind, she was over an hour away from me. Then I'm still driving home. And then this other thought came to me, like, like Sebastian's like other aunt would probably really like to go.
You are collecting all the ants.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, I call it the little voice. Yeah. It's like, when you want it, like this little voice will say, you should do this. But then you convince yourself not to. It's like, and so I was like, no, she won't want to go. So then I texted her and she said, I'd love to. And she thought she didn't know it was going to be early, but she was happy it was early because that worked out for her. And she has 2 little boys.
Yeah.
So I basically picked her up and then picked up my aunt and then went to the game. And, but it was the most amazing thing to watch my nephew see all these people there. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, because, children are looking out in the crowd looking for their family at those events.
Yeah, so that for me was like the reward because, and I was joking, I kept saying, don't worry, his name is Sebastian, I'm going to start a little fan club for you, you know? And so, but I would say that, and like I know maybe others might say, oh my gosh, I would never do that kind of a drive, but this is something else that has developed in me in this past year that I've realized that when you help others, you seriously get joy. It's like, it's that simple. If you don't have money to give, what about your time?
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? If you don't have your time, what about whatever? I don't know, cook. If someone is in the hospital, someone's sick, cook a meal, and before that kind of thinking was silly to me.
Yeah.
Like I was just like, oh yeah, that's nice, but now I realize, no, like if you do it, it literally helps that person and you will be so much happier because you'll feel like, wow, I'm so, like, again, just watching my nephew, have a great day. That was joyous to me.
Absolutely.
So,
well, wonderful.
Thank you.
And on that note, best wishes with the career moving forward. And I really appreciate your time today. And thank you so much for being on the show, Ilse.
Thank you, Eric. I think it's awesome that you do this and you do a wonderful job.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Americano.